China just pulled the trigger on a trade move so brutal, it's shaking the heart of America's auto industry, Detroit. While Washington was busy playing politics, Beijing made a decision that could erase up to 670,000 American auto jobs, according to labor experts. The move? A crushing 100% tariff on gas-powered cars imported from the U.S., basically a death sentence for traditional American-made vehicles trying to enter China's massive market. But here's the twist, and it's the part that really stings. While they're closing their doors to our vehicles, China is opening the floodgates on theirs. $10,000 electric cars. Yes, $10,000. That's less than a used Honda Civic. And these aren't clunky or outdated. They're smart, efficient, and built for the future. Meanwhile, Detroit is stuck trying to sell $80,000 electric trucks to working families. This isn't just a trade spat. It's not even a regular trade war. This is something bigger. This is an extinction-level event for the American car industry as we know it, and it's already happening. Let's talk about the car that started this earthquake, the BYD Seagull. This little machine is China's secret weapon, and it's deadly for American automakers. It costs just $9,700. That's less than half the price of a Chevy Bolt, and it comes with more range. Yes, more for less. It's not fancy, but it gets the job done, quietly, efficiently, and without draining your wallet. While U.S. companies like GM and Ford poured billions into giant, flashy electric trucks like the Hummer EV, priced at nearly $80,000, China focused on what most people actually need, affordable, everyday electric cars. And here's where it gets serious. China didn't just make these EVs for their own roads. They mass-produced them and started exporting them everywhere. Latin America, Europe, and now quietly into the U.S. market through Mexico and other indirect routes. The result? U.S. electric vehicle sales just hit a wall. For the first time in nearly 10 years, growth has stalled. Why? Because people are looking at $45,000 EVs from American brands and asking, why should I pay this much when China can give me the same thing for under $15,000? It's not just a competition problem. It's a survival problem. Detroit is getting outmaneuvered on price, production speed, and consumer demand, and it all started with the Seagull. Once Washington realized what was happening, they fired back. The United States slapped a 27.5% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles, hoping to slow the flood. But China wasn't intimidated. They hit back harder, slapping a massive 100% tariff on American-made gas. Once Washington realized what was happening, they fired back. The United States slapped a 27.5% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles, hoping to slow the flood. But China wasn't intimidated. They hit back harder, slapping a massive 100% tariff on American-made gas. That means American cars heading into China, once a key export market, are now double the price, effectively unsellable. And the fallout came fast. Ford has already laid off 3,000 workers, most of them tied to their electric vehicle operations. Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep and Chrysler, just froze a $3 billion battery plant in Indiana. These aren't just numbers, they're livelihoods. And here's the kicker, even the EVs we build in America still depend heavily on China. Why? Because China controls 80% of the global EV battery supply chain. From the raw lithium to the finished battery cells, almost every stage touches Chinese hands. So even if Detroit wants to fight back and make more EVs, they're still stuck buying the most crucial parts from their biggest rival. The auto industry is in turmoil, and even giants like Tesla are not immune. With production challenges and financial pressures, the ripple effects are being felt far and wide. As the industry grapples with unprecedented challenges, the pain is spreading, impacting workers, suppliers, and communities alike. You might think this is just Detroit's problem, but it's far bigger than that. The auto industry stretches across America, and the pain is spreading fast. In Michigan and Ohio, states that built the American car dream, auto jobs are vanishing. But now the damage is reaching deep into the South. Alabama's Mercedes-Benz plants, under threat. Tennessee's Volkswagen factories, at risk. Places that once promised stable jobs for generations are suddenly uncertain. Even Tesla, America's golden child in EVs, isn't safe. They're slashing prices just to stay competitive, and that's putting pressure on profits and workers. While U.S. companies scramble, China's CATL, the world's biggest battery maker, just announced a breakthrough, a battery that can fully charge in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, US labs are still stuck in the testing phase, years behind. This isn't just about who sells more cars. It's about which country controls the future of transportation and whose workers will get left behind. It's easy to blame China for this crisis, but the uncomfortable truth? America's own automakers helped dig this hole. It's easy to blame China for this crisis, but the uncomfortable truth? America's own automakers helped dig this hole. For decades, giants like Ford and GM focused on what they knew best: building and selling trucks, big trucks, profitable trucks. Each one made tens of thousands of dollars in profit. So while the world was changing, they kept doubling down on gas-powered beasts. Picture this. In the early 2010s, Chinese companies were rolling out their first electric vehicles. They weren't fancy. Some looked like golf carts. But Beijing saw the future and made a bold bet. The Chinese government spent over $130 billion building an EV industry from scratch. That's more than the US spent on the entire Apollo moon program, just for electric cars. Meanwhile, in Detroit, executives scoffed at EVs. They said things like, "No one wants a toy car with a 100-mile range." And maybe back then, they were right. But they missed what was coming next. Fast forward to today, and look at the US dealership lots. They're packed with unsold Ford Mach-Es and Chevy Blazer EVs. Not because they're bad cars, but because they're too expensive and too late. At the same time, China didn't just build cars. They built the supply chain. From lithium mines in Africa to cobalt refineries in Indonesia, from microchip fabs to charging stations, they control the parts, the process, and the price. At the same time, China didn't just build cars. They built the supply chain. From lithium mines in Africa to cobalt refineries in Indonesia, from microchip fabs to charging stations, they control the parts, the process, and the price. It's like the US showed up to a Formula One race with a lawnmower while China was building a supercar, quietly, piece by piece for 15 years. Now, even if US automakers want to catch up, they can't move fast enough. Because China doesn't just sell cheaper electric vehicles, they own the battery plants, the rare metals, and the entire game board. This crisis isn't just about cars, it's much, much bigger. What we're seeing is the unraveling of America's control over critical technologies and resources. Let's start with batteries. Even if the US ramps up electric car production, we've got a massive problem. Most of the raw materials, like lithium, cobalt, and graphite, are processed in China. We have lithium mines in Nevada and Texas, sure. But without Chinese processing equipment, they're basically just big holes in the ground. Let's start with batteries. Even if the US ramps up electric car production, we've got a massive problem. Most of the raw materials, like lithium, cobalt, and graphite, are processed in China. We have lithium mines in Nevada and Texas, sure. But without Chinese processing equipment, they're basically just big holes in the ground. Earlier this year, Texas announced a major lithium refinery. Sounds good, right? Except almost all the machines needed to turn that lithium into battery-grade material are made in, you guessed it, China. And it doesn't stop there. The US tried to strike back with chip sanctions, blocking high-end semiconductors from reaching Chinese firms. But China had a countermove. It restricted exports of gallium and germanium, two rare metals critical for radar systems, 5G networks, solar panels, and yes, EV batteries. That's like playing chess and realizing your opponent just took your queen while you were still moving pawns. This isn't just an economic battle. It's becoming a geopolitical one. Countries around the world are now choosing sides, not just in trade, but in how they build their energy, tech, and transportation futures. Europe? They're lining up deals with Chinese EV makers. Africa? Chinese firms are securing mining rights faster than the US can schedule a conference. Europe? They're lining up deals with Chinese EV makers. Africa? Chinese firms are securing mining rights faster than the US can schedule a conference. China isn't just exporting products anymore, they're exporting influence. And the longer America waits, the harder it'll be to catch up. So where do we go from here? Is the US just going to watch as China takes over the auto industry, technology, and critical minerals? Not necessarily, but the road to recovery isn't easy, and it's not short. First, the United States needs a smarter trade strategy. Tariffs alone won't fix this. Yes, they can slow the flood of cheap Chinese electric vehicles, but they also raise prices for American consumers and provoke retaliation that hurts our own industries. We need targeted, balanced measures, tariffs that protect key sectors but don't block innovation. Second, America must fix its weakest link, the battery supply chain. Right now, nearly every electric vehicle battery depends on Chinese components. If we want real energy independence, we need to build the entire battery life cycle here, from mining to recycling. The good news? It's starting. The Inflation Reduction Act, signed in 2022, includes $7 billion to build battery plants across the United States. And companies like Rivian and Redwood Materials are showing that American innovation isn't dead, it just needs fuel. The good news? It's starting. The Inflation Reduction Act, signed in 2022, includes $7 billion to build battery plants across the U.S. And companies like Rivian and Redwood Materials are showing that American innovation isn't dead, it just needs fuel. Recycling is a key piece too. Instead of competing with China for fresh lithium and cobalt, we can build closed-loop systems that reuse old batteries. That's not just smart, it's sustainable. But let's be honest, this isn't going to turn around overnight. It's going to take a national commitment, like the Marshall Plan after World War II, a full-scale effort to rebuild America's manufacturing backbone, retrain workers, and regain control over the technologies that define the future. The question now isn't just, can we recover? It's, will we choose to? Because if we don't act fast, China won't just win the EV race. They'll own the roads of 2030. The question now isn't just, can we recover? It's, will we choose to? Because if we don't act fast, China won't just win the EV race. They'll own the roads of 2030. This isn't some distant problem. It's happening now. The writing is on the wall. The U.S. auto industry, the backbone of American manufacturing for over a century, is teetering on the edge. This isn't some distant problem. It's happening now. The writing is on the wall. The U.S. auto industry, the backbone of American manufacturing for over a century, is teetering on the edge. If you care about American jobs, energy independence, or just being able to buy an affordable, reliable electric car, this is your wake-up call. The collapse of the U.S. auto sector isn't some far-off event. It's already here, and unless we act, it's only going to get worse. The time for waiting and hoping is over. We need to push for change at every level, government, business, and in our own communities. Support local EV startups like Rivian, demand smarter trade policies that protect jobs without stifling innovation, and most importantly, get behind the push to make America a leader in battery recycling. If we don't do these things now, we'll be left behind in a world where China controls the roads, the tech, and the future of mobility. So here's the question. What's it going to be? Do we sit back and let another industry slip away? Or do we rise to the challenge and rebuild America's future? The choice is ours. So here's the question. What's it going to be? Do we sit back and let another industry slip away? Or do we rise to the challenge and rebuild America's future? The choice is ours. If you want to be part of the solution, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Demand action from your leaders. Let's make sure America doesn't just survive this crisis. Let's make sure we thrive in the future. The auto collapse isn't coming. It's already here, and the time to act is now.